Hey everybody, welcome back for another workout of the day. Today is an AMRAP, as many rounds as possible in 20 minutes. It is called Cherry Crush, and it is 10 V-ups, 10 push-ups, 10 bent over rows, and 10 box jumps. Now after you complete that twice, then you're going to do 15 kettlebell swings. So you're going to just keep going for 20 minutes. You're going to do as many rounds as possible, but every 2 rounds you're going to fit in these kettlebell swings. So we're going to go through all of these movements and the modifications, and then you can get started. Hey everyone, so the first movement is going to be our V-up. So we want to come down and we want to be in a nice straight line, and we really want to use our abs to do the contracting here. So we're going to try to squeeze our abs coming up at the same time. So if you can't get up as high, that's okay. Just make sure you're squeezing, or another modification would be to the knees. You can do alternating, or you can do straight leg sit-ups. Okay, so the next movement is going to be our push-up. So a few things with the push-up we want to keep in mind is that clean all this stuff, is that we want a nice straight line the whole time. We don't want to be sagging. We don't want to be, in an uneven position. So we want to set up, we want our, so we don't want to be sagging. We don't want our butt up. We want to stay straight, and we want to be kind of squeezing our glutes together. Our shoulders should be right on top of our hands, and we're going to come down. We're going to look forward, and we're going to come down in a nice straight line. What we don't want to do, if you find yourself touching here, just bring your butt up a little bit. If you find yourself piked, that will actually be almost a little bit harder. So try to make sure you're squeezing those glutes and legs so that you can make sure you can maintain that nice flat body. Modifications, right? We can do a modified push-up where we're crossing our legs. We want a nice straight line here, and we're just gonna come down nice and straight. We can also take a bench, and we can do it to a bench. So those are a few options for you. The next is going to be our bent over row. So I see people do this wrong all the time, and it drives me crazy because they post it on Instagram and stuff. It's a pet peeve of mine. So remember that the bent over row is just the only thing you're moving is your arms. You should not be pulling and yanking and rocking, right? It's your arms that you should be using. So to do that, right, we want to be about hip width apart with our feet. We're going to take our hips and we're going to move them backwards. So we're going to move our hips backwards. We're going to have a slight bend at the knee, right? So our legs are not straight. They're just slightly bent. So as we bend back, we're creating this nice straight line. So we want a nice straight line with our back. We want our shoulders squeezed back, and the barbell is going to hang directly in front of us, right? So it shouldn't be pulled in tight. It's not an RDL. We want it here so that we can pull up, and we're going to come about 90-degree angle, right? We're going to come up, squeezing, keeping everything straight. We should not be pulling or doing weird things. So I'm going to show you, I think I'm going to take these plates off actually, because I think you'll see it better that way. Should have done this beforehand. Sorry. Okay, so again, we're going to grab onto the barbell if you have one, right? We're going to take our hips and move them back, And as we move them back, our knees are going to slightly bend and the barbell is now in front of us. I'm going to be squeezing my shoulders back and I'm going to come up to about the bottom of my sports bra here into a 90-degree angle with my arms, right? So nothing is moving except my arms. So use a weight that you can, feel comfortable doing the bent over row with. If you don't have a barbell and you want to use a bench, well, let's do a couple things. You can take your dumbbells and you can do the same thing. You can either be in that nice position and just come up here or here, right? Or you can use a bench, right? So we're gonna set up and we're gonna do one arm at a time. We're gonna have one leg on the bench, one hand on the bench, right? For stability. And then we're gonna come here and we're gonna be squeezing our shoulders back. And again, the only thing moving is my arm and I'm just going to that 90-degree angle and then I'm gonna switch sides. So with this, you can do 10 on each side or you can do 5 on each side, wherever you're comfortable at, right? The other thing that you can do is you can stand on the band and you can pull up, with the band. But again, no rocking. So make sure don't try to let your pride get in the way of good form, right? So like form is always more important than weight. So I'm gonna move a box over here because the last thing we're gonna do before kettlebells is going to be our box jump. So we want to come up to the box, we're facing the box, and we want to jump completely and fully on top of the box. We want to land in this nice quarter squat position. We do not want to get any further than that. We don't want to land in a full squat. We want to land in a quarter squat, stand all the way to the top, and you either jump down or step down. So once more time, fully, completely, no hanging off the box. If you want to modify this, you can lower box, set up plates to a height you feel comfortable with. You can also do step up. So you're going to take your foot. Again, it's fully, completely on top of the box. It's not hanging off. I'm going to use this leg to step all the way up before placing that other foot onto the box. Step down, switch legs, and keep rotating back and forth. So, that's the AMRAP part, right? So we're going to keep doing that for 20 minutes. But every time we complete those 2 rounds of all those movements, then we're going to do 15 kettlebell swings. So let's just go over the kettlebell swing movement real quick. We are going to be a little bit wider than hip width apart with our feet. We're going to bring our hips back just like we did for the bent over row. So we're going to bring our hips back. Our knees are slightly bent. Our wrists, the outside, should be touching the inside of our thigh. And we're going to use the glutes, the thrust, to push up the momentum, to push up the weight. We're not pulling with our hands. Our arms should be straight. We want to come to about eye level here. So it looks like this. And it's just a nice, smooth movement. If you find that you're not touching here, that you're coming down, that you're touching above your wrist when you come back, that means you're either squatting down or you're leaning over too far. So those are both 2 no-nos. So make sure that you use that cue of the outside of your wrist to the inside of your thigh. That's where it should be. If you feel like the kettlebell isn't getting up very high, that means just you need to use your hamstrings, you need to use those glute muscles to really drive the weight forward and upward. So now with that, you can, adjust the weight to your needs. If you don't have a kettlebell, you can also use a dumbbell, right? Same movement. Or you can use a band. So with the band, it's kind of awkward to step into, but so we're going to take a band. We're going to step into the band. We're going to pull it through our legs, and we're going to do the same movement, right? And you're going to squeeze those glutes at the top of the movement, just like you would also with the weight. So there's 15 of those every 2 rounds. So that is the workout. Get out there, do it, crush it, and we'll see you next week for some more workouts.